Motion passes 5-0.
Exempt staff classified, 4AB2, Kathy Martin on a continuing exempt staff contract as accounts payable clerk.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dr. Thacker, seconded by Mr. Suchaki. Any discussion? Yes?
I would ask if there's,
I'm sorry, but as you know, it's the table, the motion's on the table, so it's not time for you to speak. You know Robert's Rules of Order, so
I'm going to ask that the board to discuss personal employees, I would ask that the board dismiss to executive session to discuss an employee because there's been no discussion about, if there is discussion about this employee.
I'm making general comments, not comments.
Then I
about
would
the employee.
also bring up that Robert's Rules of Order during the agenda portion, you didn't ask to have this pulled out, so technically you can't pull it out of the agenda right now because the agenda was approved as submitted.
Oh, yes, I can, Mr. Evans. In fact, at our OSBA course, at any point in time, you do not need a second. Anyone can pull anything out of a consent agenda.
My objections are duly
reason-
noted, then you can move forward.
Okay, and the reason I pulled it out of a consent agenda is solely based on the advice of legal counsel, given directly to you and to me, because as we all know, we're undergoing a
Please don't speak for
treasurer's
me, I haven't
search.
been given any advice from the legal counsel on this.
And since we're undergoing a treasurer search and our interim treasurer and the treasurer search committee head has said that we should hold off on making any continuing contracts in that small office. We have several weeks left to go. This is nothing to do individually with this excellent employee.
Okay.
It's
a personal
This board,
vendetta.
I can speak for myself, and I'm sure I
Please
speak
do speak for yourself. Don't speak
for
for me.
the rest of the board.
That's for sure.
Speak for yourself.
That we certainly want to include everyone in our family and have implement plans that would help support you. Mr. Evans, there's been many discussions, including from Mr. Suchaki and others, how we need to kind of rearrange things and get more assistance to both our administration and to our treasurer staff. And this is not on the individual. This is not anything related to that specifically or evaluations, or we know the wonderful service. However, this has to do with it being structural, and therefore.
Who's in charge of structural?
That
Isn't that
is
the
what,
superintendent?
it has been our
The structure,
precedent.
personnel?
It has been our precedent that administrators and leaders are allowed to select open slots. Like, for instance, Mr. Evans got to select Dr. Caleris and Mr. Matt Young, Dr. Holland. We held up on a principal position in elementary, so he picked Renee Schoonover. Mrs. Houchin, I made sure that Mr. Joe Bergant got to weigh in on Mrs. Houchin. And so we are a very small school, and we need to afford, this is a very important search, it's a very important position. We need that person. We think we're close to having a treasurer. We have several more weeks, and there's lots of options.
We're spending a ton of money on that
to do
search.
this. So,
You approve.
anyway.
Okay, that's your thing. I'd like to say something. So just a little background, okay? Kathy Martin has saved us thousands of dollars, okay?
You get off your phone,
And
listen to your board
please,
member.
she needs to learn because her husband's texting her what to say next.
Exactly.
I've been watching it go back and forth.
Of the public, and.
And the rules that you have for the public should still go for
Apply to you.
for us.
This is a board
Anyway,
meeting of the
I have
public.
the floor and I'm going to speak. These are some discussion topics. The comments made by Bruce Pasala, our interim treasurer, have been outstanding for both Ann and Kathy. I think without them, we would really be struggling right now in that department. There have been positive evaluations from the superintendent, and I think, Mr. Evans, please interject, because I have not seen it, but I've been told that one of the comments on her evaluation was that she does the work of 4 people. So you can tell me if I'm wrong.
And I
Okay.
can confirm that, hands down.
Okay.
Wow. Oh, are you kidding me? I'm right. Freedom of speech.
Sorry. No,
The
I
motion
appreciate,
is
I
on the
asked,
table.
excuse me,
It's
Dr.
board
Thacker.
members to be speaking.
Excuse me, Dr.
You are
Thacker.
ridiculous.
I asked for clarification, and that's fine if people ask, can include, whatever. I can't even. Anyway, moving forward. I find it very interesting, you say this is not to single somebody out. But yet 5 months ago, you requested Kathy's personnel file.
Wow.
So why? What's that about? And I know you won't answer, so I'll continue. I believe wholeheartedly this is premeditated. This is part of your witch hunt. We look at the treasurer search committee and who it's made up of. It's all of your cohorts, Holly. All of your cohorts.
Excuse me, it's Madam President.
I will tell you what I feel comfortable with, and until you show people
inappropriate
respect.
and unprofessional.
Okay, thank you,
Wrap
and
up
so
your
are
quote.
you.
Wrap up
Anyway,
your
the
comments.
next part I would like to talk about is our other department chairs or heads do not pick. They do not pick their employees. Mr. Young is not picking every teacher. Mr. Evans did not pick his secretary. They came into the position and they worked well. Let's talk about logistics. We have a horrible historical past financially. Miss Whistleblower. And to take somebody out who's doing well, who is keeping things, we have two people that are keeping things status quo with an interim treasurer who's doing 8 to 10 hours a week. So two individuals who are, if anybody disagrees with that, I don't know what you're on. So to take them out at this point and bring somebody in that might not have any school background, we might be bringing in a CPA. No school background would be a detriment to not only the treasurer's office, to our students, to our children, to our community. With all that's happened with stolen monies, with the way that we're spending on legal fees, we need some stability. And I think that these women provide that in the office, Kathy included. It was cleaned out 3 years ago. Why clean out that office again? You know, and rumor has it too, Dr. Thacker, as you want to be called, that you're also looking at for a way for Ann to leave us. Rumor has it. So your little gossip circle is spreading some horrific rumors. And I find that very, very concerning. That's my discussion item.
Okay, any other discussions?
Before the, I'm sorry.
Any other discussions?
Mr. Evans, you said something about executive session. Could you tell me a little more about that?
Well, I would prefer to have this personnel discussion in executive session. If the board chooses not to, then I will have to make a statement because I want to make sure the board is aware of a legal aspect to this as well. So I prefer that to be an executive session, but if not, then I'll make that statement in public.
Well, I'd prefer to have any conversation in executive session first.
Of course you would.
That's been denied already, Mr. Oden, so.
Go, Mr. Evans.
Yeah, I do have some comments. Obviously, I believe this is insane. I once, in private industry, I was asked to take over management of a department that was in rather poor condition, nothing like our treasurer's office, which is actually running pretty smoothly especially under the circumstances, but it's running smoothly, period. I can't imagine walking into that department that I took over with no staff. But that's what Dr. Thacker wants to believe is the right thing to do, to hire a new treasurer without a staff in place. So that the new treasurer, who would know nothing about our school district, probably won't even be a school treasurer because that's what they're looking for. And how are they going to run the office? That's insane, Dr. Thacker. We have a school district to run, and we have to.
I'm not hard of
I
hearing.
don't care.
Stop yelling.
You are being insane, and I want to make the point.
Thank you.
By the way, that department was in such poor condition, within 6 months I did replace all but one of them, and 6 months later I replaced the next batch of them. Because it had to be done. But I didn't do it before I was even interviewed. You said we're close to hiring a treasurer. We haven't even started interviewing yet. How close are we?
Any other comments?
The statement that I want to make is that I want to remind the board, because 4 of you were board members at the time, 1 was not, that back in the fall, Mrs. Martin reported allegations of by 2 board members, and she asked for board policy whistleblower protection at that time. I want to remind the board that non-renewing Mrs. Martin at this time will put the district at legal risk for a retaliation lawsuit. I want that on record. That was what I wanted to discuss in executive session, since you didn't want to, I want it on a public record that I have made the board aware that you have now put the district at risk for a lawsuit.
Okay, thank you. Roll call.
Dr. Thacker,
Nay.
It's not personal.
Mr. Souchaki,
Aye.
Mr. Lawrence,
Oh, my God.
I'm abstaining.
You are unbelievable.
Same as a no, Mr. Lawrence, you realize that.
Okay, no
Might as well say
discussion, just
nay,
a
Mr.
vote.
Lawrence.
Thank you for clarifying.
You're unbelievable.
Mr. Oden,
No.
Really?
and Mrs. Schuker.
Yes,
Thank you, you
Okay,
too.
motion fails 2-1. Next.
Thacker, you're unbelievable.
not personal.
Section 5, classified staff contracts. It is recommended that the